The research station hung in orbit like a silent giant above the swirling clouds of the gas planet below. Its metal hull gleamed under the faint light of distant stars, and inside, every corridor and chamber thrummed with quiet energy. Humans were rare on this station. Among the thousands of aliens who lived and worked here, human presence was unusual enough to be noted, unusual enough to make others uneasy. But Captain Myra Ellis had never been the kind of human who followed the rules just to avoid attention. She thrived on moments when the galaxy expected her to fail, and she could prove them wrong. She entered the observation chamber carefully, her boots making soft clicks on the smooth floor. This was the room she had been warned about. It was one of the largest in the station, designed to accommodate the Alien Council during meetings. Today, it was filled with creatures of every conceivable shape and size, each one gazing at her with attention that felt almost physical. Their eyes, their limbs, the subtle vibrations in the floor, they were all studying her. The room was silent, yet somehow it thrummed with anticipation. Myra's own pulse quickened, but she kept her posture calm, confident. Myra wore her standard uniform, a functional gray suit with reinforced panels for the station's unpredictable gravity fields. On her shoulder rested the gravity band, a device familiar to all humans traveling in zero gravity. It regulated her weight and allowed her to move freely without floating uncontrollably. It was a precaution, a tool, and a signal of human conformity. She knew every crew member watching from the hallway expected her to leave it on. The protocol was clear: never remove the band when interacting with unknown alien species. But Myra had other ideas. She stepped further into the room, her eyes sweeping over the aliens. They were unlike anything described in human texts, though her studies had prepared her to identify patterns in their shapes, behaviors, and energy emissions. Some were tall and thin, with translucent skin that shimmered in colors she could barely name. Others had multiple limbs, each ending in delicate sensory pads. A few hovered slightly above the ground, their bodies suspended by forces Myra could not yet comprehend. All of them moved subtly, like instruments in a symphony, reacting to her presence in ways humans would not have thought possible. Her gaze lingered on the largest creature, a massive being with a broad, rounded torso and eyes that seemed to hold entire constellations. It emitted a low, rhythmic vibration that she felt through her feet and bones. Myra recognized it as a form of communication, one she would have to learn to interpret quickly if she wanted to survive this encounter. Her hand brushed the gravity band on her shoulder. She could feel the hum of energy it suppressed, the human signature hidden beneath its dampening field. Myra took a deep breath, letting the tension settle in her chest. She knew what she was about to do would be noticed immediately. Slowly, deliberately, she unfastened the gravity band. The soft click echoed in the quiet room like a note in a vast silence. Immediately, the air seemed to shift. The lights flickered for a fraction of a second, the floor trembled subtly under her feet, and the aliens reacted. They did not move backward or attack. They simply turned, oriented, and observed with intensified focus. A low hum spread through the chamber. It was not sound as humans understood it. It was vibration, resonance, energy passing through the walls, floor, and even the air. Myra felt it in her chest, like a heartbeat that belonged to something far larger than herself. The humans outside the room were already whispering frantically, unsure of what would happen next. Some considered stepping in, but the station's protocols forbade interfering with alien interaction without explicit command. Myra knew she had to handle this herself. The largest alien stepped forward, its eyes, or what Myra assumed were its eyes, locked on hers. She raised a hand slowly, palm open, a universal gesture of peace. The creature responded with a series of vibrations, rising and falling, as if testing the air and the energy around it. Myra tilted her head slightly, mimicking the pattern. She did not know if it would work, but humans had an instinct for improvisation that no alien protocol could predict. The resonance shifted slightly, harmonizing with her movements. Other aliens began to respond in kind, their bodies creating subtle waves of motion. The room trembled more noticeably now, though it was not violent. Myra realized the station itself was reacting to this resonance. It was as if the walls, the floor, the ceiling were part of the interaction. The humans outside could only watch in awe as the situation unfolded. Myra was no longer just a visitor. She was an active participant in a process that neither species fully understood. Her mind worked quickly. The gravity band had hidden her natural energy signature, something humans had evolved but never fully understood themselves. Removing it allowed her to interact with alien forces directly. This was dangerous. The resonance could destabilize the station if mismanaged. Myra moved carefully, lifting her arms to conduct the energy, guiding it subtly through motions she barely understood but felt instinctively. The aliens responded immediately, adjusting their vibrations to match hers. A few moments passed like minutes, and then the unthinkable happened. A section of the observation deck trembled more violently than before. Lights flickered, and a low groan echoed through the walls. The human crew outside gasped. Myra felt the tremor in her chest but did not panic. Instead, she focused, aligning her body with the patterns she felt. She was improvising, creating stability where none existed before. The aliens moved closer, their movements synchronized, almost collaborative. Myra realized that they were not just studying her, they were testing her. This was a challenge, a measurement of whether humans could understand, adapt, and manipulate energy in ways that other species could not. She smiled slightly. This was exactly what humans excelled at, thinking creatively under pressure, solving problems instinctively, and turning risk into advantage. Her hands traced arcs in the air, guiding waves of resonance across the room. The tremors lessened slightly, the light stabilized, and the massive alien being lowered its torso closer to the floor, a gesture Myra interpreted as acknowledgement. She felt a surge of confidence. The aliens were no longer a threat. They were observers, participants, and perhaps, in their own way, collaborators. Despite the calm she projected, Myra remained acutely aware of the danger. Any sudden misstep could cause the energy to spiral out of control, threatening the entire station. Her mind worked in overdrive, calculating movements, anticipating reactions, and adjusting in real time. She was entirely in the moment, her instincts sharpened by years of training and experience. Then something unexpected happened. One of the smaller aliens approached, its body quivering with rapid, high-frequency vibrations. Myra instinctively mirrored the movement, finding that the pattern complemented the larger resonance she was already controlling. The tremors in the room began to harmonize, creating a stable rhythm that neither humans nor aliens could have predicted individually. Together, they were creating something new, an emergent system of balance and energy. The human crew outside watched in stunned silence. No protocol had prepared them for this. Myra, however, remained calm, focused, and deliberate. She knew that what she was doing now could change how humans were perceived in this galaxy. They were often underestimated, seen as fragile, impulsive, and limited. But here, in this alien chamber, Myra was proving otherwise. Human intuition, creativity, and courage were tools as powerful as any technology or weapon. Minutes passed. The resonance began to fade naturally, stabilizing without further tremors. The aliens adjusted their positions, some lowering to the floor, others rising slightly, but none leaving. Myra took a measured breath and allowed herself a small smile. She had survived the test, and more importantly, she had demonstrated human capability in a way that words could not. She refastened the gravity band on her shoulder, not because she needed it now, but as a signal. Humans respected their tools, their protocols, but they also knew when to act beyond them. The aliens watched her movements closely, and she sensed a subtle shift in their collective energy. Curiosity had turned into respect. Myra stepped back, allowing space between herself and the aliens. She could feel the weight of their attention, their recognition of her uniqueness. The humans outside were still frozen, unsure how to react. She raised a hand in a gesture that combined reassurance and command. "It's okay," she said softly, though the aliens could not hear her. The vibrations communicated the meaning anyway, amplified by her presence. For the first time, Myra realized something remarkable. Humans had always relied on technology to survive in alien environments. But here she had survived and excelled through instinct, intuition, and courage alone. The gravity band had been a shield, but it had also hidden her potential. Removing it had allowed her humanity, in all its complexity, to shine. The room remained silent, but the air was charged with new possibility. Myra knew that this encounter was only the beginning. The aliens were not aggressive. They were not hostile. They were aware, intelligent, and now intrigued by humans in a way that could change the course of interstellar relations. She took another step forward, confident, calm, and alert. The hum of the station vibrated through her feet. The aliens tilted their heads, their attention fully on her. Myra knew that whatever happened next would require her to trust herself as much as she trusted her species. Humans had been underestimated for too long. Now, in this alien chamber, they had an opportunity to prove exactly what they were capable of. And Captain Myra Ellis, human among countless alien observers, was ready to show them. The vibrations had settled, but the room still thrummed with energy. Myra could feel it in the air, in her bones, and in the subtle pressure beneath her feet. The aliens had stopped moving for now, yet their attention was far from relaxed. Each creature's gaze, or what passed for a gaze in their alien way, followed her carefully, as if measuring her every thought and decision. The humans watching from the outer hallway were tense, holding their breath, unsure if what they had just witnessed was a miracle or a disaster waiting to happen. Myra raised her hand slowly, testing the air once again. The vibrations responded immediately, not with aggression but with something more complex. A series of waves that rippled across the floor, through the walls, and even into the ceiling above. The hum was musical in nature but strange, like a melody that had never existed on Earth. It carried intention, purpose, and something akin to emotion. Myra knew instinctively that these aliens were communicating through energy, using their bodies and the station itself as instruments. She took a cautious step forward. Her movements were deliberate, precise, meant to convey calm and confidence. Some of the larger aliens shifted their forms slightly, leaning in, their appendages swaying gently as they echoed her motion. Myra realized that the room itself was reacting to her presence in ways she could not fully understand, yet she felt a strange harmony forming. The floor trembled in gentle waves, and the walls seemed to hum in agreement with her movements. A small, multi-limbed alien approached from the far side of the chamber. It was delicate and fragile-looking, with translucent skin that shimmered in soft shades of violet and green. Its limbs extended and contracted rhythmically, sending precise vibrations across the floor. Myra mirrored the pattern with her own body, moving her hands and arms to conduct the energy. The two patterns intertwined, forming a complex resonance that stabilized the tremors she had felt earlier. The larger alien, the one that seemed to hold the room's attention most firmly, leaned closer. Its massive form vibrated slowly and steadily, sending waves through the station's metal structure. Myra felt the resonance deepen, and a surge of understanding flashed through her mind. This was not just a test of courage or control. The aliens were evaluating humans' capacity to interact with energy in a way that required intuition, creativity, and calm thinking. They were seeing if humans could adapt to something completely alien. She moved her hands in sweeping arcs, feeling the vibrations respond like water flowing around rocks. The small alien adjusted its limbs to match her movements, while the larger one seemed to pulse in recognition. Myra's heart raced, but she remained focused, knowing that panic could destabilize the entire system. She had always been skilled at improvisation, whether navigating alien environments or managing impossible situations. Now her instincts were being tested on a scale she had never imagined. Suddenly, the floor trembled more violently. A section of the observation deck shuddered and the lights flickered dangerously. The human crew outside gasped in alarm. Myra's mind raced, analyzing the source. The resonance had shifted slightly, the energy patterns diverging. The aliens were not malicious. They were curious, perhaps even cooperative, but the station itself could not handle uncontrolled fluctuations. One wrong move and the structure could fail. Myra acted immediately. She raised both hands, conducting the vibrations with precise, flowing gestures. The small alien responded instantly, extending its limbs to stabilize the pattern. The larger alien adjusted its massive form, creating a counterbalance that slowly calmed the tremors. Myra realized that she was not merely surviving this interaction. She was participating in it as an equal, shaping energy in real time. Humans had never been able to do this. Other species might have brute strength, advanced technology, or telepathy, but humans had something unique, intuition combined with creativity. The tremors lessened. The lights stabilized. The room's energy harmonized into a rhythm that felt almost musical. Myra lowered her hands slightly, feeling a thrill of success. She had turned a potentially catastrophic moment into proof of human ingenuity. Her eyes met the largest alien, S, and she felt something shift in the being's consciousness. Respect, curiosity, perhaps even recognition. For a moment, all was calm. Then a subtle new vibration entered the room. It was faster, higher-pitched, almost like a nervous energy. Myra turned her attention to a group of smaller aliens clustered near one corner. They were emitting rapid, irregular pulses, testing boundaries and seeking reaction. She approached them slowly, matching their vibrations with small, gentle gestures. The energy responded positively, synchronizing with her own movements. The room trembled again, but this time with controlled energy. Myra's confidence grew. She was learning how to communicate, how to lead the resonance rather than be swept along by it. Every motion, every gesture, every breath contributed to a delicate balance between humans and aliens. Outside observers could only watch in awe as she danced with the energy, improvising and problem-solving in a way no human had ever done before. Myra's mind wandered briefly to the implications. If humans could interact with alien energy in this way, it changed everything. Humans were often underestimated in the galaxy. Other species assumed humans relied on brute strength, tools, or numbers to survive. But here in this chamber, humans had something far more powerful: the ability to think creatively under pressure, to adapt instinctively, and to improvise solutions in situations no one else could comprehend. She allowed herself a small smile, but there was no time to relax. The energy patterns were evolving, becoming more complex. The larger alien emitted a series of deep, resonant pulses. Myra understood that it was issuing a challenge, a test of humans' ability to manage chaos and bring order. She responded with careful, sweeping motions, guiding the vibrations into a harmonious flow. The smaller aliens followed her lead, synchronizing their pulses with hers. The room trembled in a way that was thrilling rather than dangerous. A sudden sharp vibration shook the floor, stronger than anything she had felt before. Myra's heart raced. The station's structure was reacting, not to aggression but to the intensity of combined energy. She realized that the aliens were not just curious. They were assessing human capability under extreme conditions. They were measuring resilience, creativity, and courage. Myra's instincts took over. She raised her arms, guiding the resonance with fluid movements that felt more like dance than calculation. Her body moved naturally, instinctively, in harmony with the aliens and the station. The tremor subsided gradually, leaving a subtle hum in the air. Myra could feel the aliens' attention on her, waiting for the next move. She knew she had made an impression. Humans were not merely surviving in alien environments. They were shaping them, influencing outcomes in ways other species could not anticipate. She felt a quiet pride, knowing that this demonstration of ingenuity would be remembered. Her gaze fell on the largest alien again. It pulsed gently, an acknowledgement that she understood the rhythms of the room. Myra realized that the aliens were offering something beyond observation: trust. They were inviting her to participate, to engage in a collaboration that could not be achieved through technology alone. Humans had always relied on machines, tools, and protocols. But here, instinct, creativity, and courage were the tools that mattered most. The smaller aliens clustered closer, their pulses quickening. Myra mirrored their energy, weaving a complex pattern with her arms and body. She felt the resonance spread through her chest, then into the floor and walls, stabilizing the room once more. Outside, the human crew watched in awe, realizing that Myra was performing something they had never imagined possible. This was not mere survival. This was proof of human capability on a scale that transcended species. A sudden wave of realization hit her. The aliens were not merely assessing humans. They were testing the species' potential. They wanted to see if humans could rise above instinct and protocol, if they could improvise and create in ways no other species could. Myra smiled faintly, understanding that she was exactly the human they hoped would appear. The resonance shifted again, forming a pattern that felt like a conversation. Myra followed it instinctively, responding with careful gestures and movements. The larger alien adjusted its massive body in harmony with hers, while the smaller ones mirrored her subtle changes. The room vibrated with controlled energy, a symphony of cooperation between species. Minutes passed. The hum settled into a steady rhythm, leaving a calm, almost reverent silence. Myra lowered her arms, breathing deeply, and looked around the room. The aliens were observing her, but their posture had changed. There was recognition, a quiet acknowledgement of human ingenuity and courage. She had survived the test, not through strength or weapons, but through instinct, creativity, and calm thinking. Myra refastened her gravity band, not because she needed it now, but as a signal. Humans respected their tools and protocols, but they also knew when to go beyond them. The aliens watched closely, and she sensed that the encounter had shifted their perception. Humans were no longer merely visitors. They were potential partners, capable of influencing outcomes and shaping the future in ways the galaxy had not yet imagined. She took another step forward, confident and alert. The hum of the station vibrated beneath her feet, carrying the energy of curiosity and anticipation. Myra knew that this was only the beginning. Humans had long been underestimated in the galaxy, seen as fragile, limited, and impulsive. But here, among alien observers, humans had demonstrated something far greater: the ability to think, adapt, and create under conditions no other species could master. And Captain Myra Ellis, human among countless alien observers, was ready to continue proving exactly what her species was capable of. The room no longer trembled violently, but the air vibrated with quiet tension, like the calm before a storm. Myra stood in the center, her gravity band now securely fastened, yet she felt more alive than ever. The aliens had not withdrawn. Instead, they moved closer, surrounding her with their strange, fluid forms, their pulses and vibrations weaving a pattern that she could sense in her chest. Each wave, each subtle movement seemed purposeful. It was communication, but not in words. This was a language of energy, rhythm, and instinct, and for the first time, Myra felt she could understand it. She raised her arms slightly, testing the resonance once more. The small aliens responded immediately, their limbs extending and contracting in perfect harmony with her gestures. The larger alien leaned down, its massive torso rippling with low-frequency vibrations. Myra realized that the resonance was not just energy. It was a tool, a bridge. Humans had the ability to manipulate it in ways that other species might not expect. The aliens were beginning to realize this too. Myra moved forward cautiously, letting her instincts guide her. She was not afraid, but she knew the slightest misstep could send the station into chaos. The vibrations shifted as she moved, flowing through the floor and walls like water through a network of pipes. The small aliens mirrored her movements, while the larger one maintained a steady pulse, anchoring the energy. Myra felt a thrill of recognition. She had become a conductor not of music but of energy itself, shaping the room, the station, and the aliens' responses. A sudden surge of vibration jolted her, stronger than before. Myra's heart raced. The station itself was responding, and the humans outside gasped, unsure of whether to intervene. Myra's mind raced, analyzing the energy patterns. The surge was not malicious. It was a challenge, a test. The aliens wanted to see how humans would react under extreme conditions. Myra did not hesitate. She extended her arms fully, guiding the surge with fluid, precise movements. The small aliens followed, their pulses intertwining with hers. The larger one adjusted its massive body to stabilize the room. Slowly, the tremors subsided, leaving a controlled, harmonious hum. The moment of calm did not last long. Another wave of irregular vibrations swept through the chamber, faster and more chaotic than the first. Myra's instincts screamed that this could destabilize the station if not managed. She moved quickly, using the patterns she had learned instinctively from the first encounters. Her hands traced arcs in the air, directing energy flows and weaving the waves into a stable rhythm. The small aliens mirrored her precisely, while the largest one shifted to counterbalance the energy, creating a delicate equilibrium. As the resonance stabilized, Myra realized something extraordinary. Humans had always relied on technology, weapons, and numbers to survive. But here, she was proving that intuition, creativity, and courage were equally powerful. She was shaping the environment, influencing alien reactions, and controlling the flow of energy with nothing more than her body and mind. The humans outside could only watch in awe. No protocol could have prepared them for this display of human ingenuity. A sudden thought struck Myra. If humans could interact with this energy, they might be capable of even more. She could guide the vibrations deliberately, creating patterns that could stabilize or manipulate the station, or even communicate complex ideas to the aliens. Her mind raced with possibilities. The gravity band had hidden this potential before. Removing it had unlocked something that humans were only beginning to understand. Myra experimented cautiously, sending a new sequence of vibrations through her body. The aliens responded immediately. Their pulses matched hers, then expanded outward, creating a ripple effect that traveled through the room. The floor and walls vibrated in harmony, the station itself seeming to breathe with the energy. Myra's heart pounded with excitement. She was no longer reacting, she was initiating. Humans were taking control of the situation in a way that no one had anticipated. The larger alien leaned closer, its massive form vibrating in response to Myra's energy. She sensed intelligence and curiosity in its movements. It was testing her further, pushing her to see how far she could control the resonance. Myra adjusted her posture, guiding the waves carefully, letting them flow naturally while maintaining stability. The smaller aliens continued to mirror her, amplifying the patterns she set. The room vibrated with a rhythm that was both calming and thrilling, a symphony of cooperation between species. Myra's mind worked furiously. She realized that the aliens were not just assessing her, they were evaluating the potential of her entire species. They wanted to know if humans could think creatively under pressure, if they could improvise solutions to problems no one else could predict. Myra's chest swelled with pride. This was what humans excelled at, turning challenges into opportunities, adapting instinctively and finding solutions in chaos. A sharp pulse rippled through the room, faster and more erratic than before. Myra's instincts screamed that this was the most critical moment yet. She focused intensely, extending her arms and moving deliberately, conducting the energy like a seasoned musician. The small aliens responded immediately, their pulses intertwining with hers, while the larger alien shifted to maintain balance. Myra could feel the room settling into a controlled rhythm once more, the chaotic energy tamed by careful guidance. She allowed herself a brief glance at the humans outside. Their eyes were wide with awe. They had never seen anything like this. Myra's mind raced with the implications. If humans could interact with alien energy in this way, it could change everything. Humans were often underestimated in the galaxy, thought to be fragile, impulsive, and limited. But here, among alien observers, they were proving something far more important: the ability to understand, adapt, and shape the environment with intelligence and creativity. Myra smiled faintly. The aliens had not yet withdrawn. Their attention was fully on her, their forms rippling in response to her movements. She realized that they were offering an invitation, a chance to participate, to engage in a collaboration that could not be achieved through technology alone. Humans had always relied on tools and machines, but here, instinct and intuition were the keys to survival and success. She began to experiment further, sending more complex sequences of vibrations through her body. The room responded immediately. The small aliens mirrored her precisely, creating intricate patterns of resonance that spread through the station. The largest alien adjusted its massive form to stabilize the energy, anchoring the flow and preventing chaos. Myra's movements became more fluid, more confident. She was improvising, leading the interaction rather than simply reacting to it. A sudden surge of energy shot through the room, stronger and faster than anything she had felt before. Myra's instincts took over. She extended her arms fully, guiding the waves with precision and care. The small aliens followed her lead, their pulses synchronizing perfectly with hers. The larger alien adjusted its body to counterbalance the surge, stabilizing the room. Slowly, the chaotic energy subsided, leaving a controlled, harmonious hum. Myra allowed herself a moment of pride. She had not only survived the challenge, but had demonstrated something extraordinary. Humans were not merely survivors, they were creators, innovators, and problem solvers in ways other species could not anticipate. The aliens were recognizing this, their attention focused entirely on her. She felt a quiet sense of triumph. She lowered her arms, letting the energy settle naturally. The room vibrated gently, the station itself seeming to breathe with the controlled resonance. Myra glanced around at the aliens. Their forms shifted subtly, a gesture she interpreted as acknowledgement. They were no longer merely observers, they were collaborators, participating in a dance of energy that spanned species and forms of life. Her thoughts turned to the implications for humanity. If humans could harness this kind of energy, they could interact with alien civilizations in ways previously unimaginable. They could stabilize environments, communicate without words, and solve problems with creativity and intuition rather than force. Myra felt a thrill of possibility. This was only the beginning. Humans had the potential to change the galaxy, not through domination or weapons, but through ingenuity and adaptability. The aliens remained attentive, their forms pulsating with subtle energy. Myra understood that they were still testing her, still evaluating humans' potential. She raised her arms once more, sending a final sequence of vibrations through the room. The small aliens mirrored her perfectly, while the largest one adjusted its massive body to maintain balance. The resonance flowed smoothly, harmonizing the energy in the chamber. Myra allowed herself a small smile. Humans had been underestimated for too long, and here, among alien observers, they were proving their worth. She had survived the test, not through strength or technology, but through instinct, creativity, and courage. The humans outside watched in awe, realizing that Myra had demonstrated something extraordinary. A subtle shift occurred in the energy patterns. Myra sensed that the aliens were acknowledging her success. She had not only met their challenge, but had exceeded it. Humans were capable of understanding, adapting, and shaping the environment in ways that no other species had anticipated. Myra felt a quiet sense of accomplishment. She had shown the potential of her species, and the galaxy would never underestimate humans again. The room remained calm, the vibrations gentle and steady. Myra refastened her gravity band, a symbolic gesture of returning to protocol while maintaining the lessons she had learned. Humans respected their tools, but they also knew when to trust themselves and their instincts. The aliens' attention was still on her, but it was no longer wary or cautious. There was respect, curiosity, and perhaps even admiration. Myra took a step forward, confident and alert. The resonance of the station vibrated beneath her feet, carrying the energy of curiosity, anticipation, and recognition. She knew that this encounter was only the beginning. Humans had been underestimated for too long, but here, in this chamber filled with aliens, they were demonstrating something extraordinary. They were adaptable, creative, and capable of rising to challenges that no other species could master. And Captain Myra Ellis, human among countless alien observers, was ready to continue proving the potential of her species. She had survived the challenge, and now she was preparing for what came next. A chance to elevate humanity in the eyes of the galaxy, not through force, but through ingenuity, courage, and the ability to think beyond expectation. The air in the observation chamber pulsed with quiet energy, a rhythm that seemed to breathe along with the station itself. Myra stood at the center, her gravity band fastened but her mind wide open. The aliens were not leaving. Instead, they shifted their forms subtly, each movement sending ripples of vibrations through the floor. Myra could feel the patterns now, subtle but powerful, as though the station itself had become a living organism responding to her presence. She had learned to move with it, to guide the resonance instead of letting it guide her. But today, the challenge would be greater. A sudden pulse swept through the room, stronger and more chaotic than anything Myra had experienced before. The floor trembled beneath her feet and lights flickered across the chamber. The humans outside gasped, their hands gripping the observation windows. Myra's eyes scanned the room. The aliens were not panicking, they were testing. Each vibration, each movement carried intent. Myra understood instantly that this was a final test, a measure of whether humans could rise above instinct and chaos to create order and harmony. She took a deep breath, centering herself. Her hands rose slowly, tracing arcs through the air. The small aliens mirrored her perfectly, their limbs and bodies extending in precise patterns that complemented her movements. The largest alien leaned forward, its massive torso pulsing in rhythm with her own energy. Myra could feel the resonance spreading through the station, threading together the walls, the floor, and even the ceiling. The chaotic pulse began to align, responding to her subtle guidance. Myra's mind raced. She realized that this was more than a test of her own skill. The aliens were assessing the potential of all humans. They were measuring adaptability, creativity, and intelligence. They wanted to see if humans could rise to a level of understanding that transcended technology, protocols, or brute strength. Myra's chest swelled with pride. This was what humans did best. They adapted, they improvised, and they solved problems where others saw only danger. Another surge of energy jolted through the chamber, faster and more unpredictable. Myra's instincts kicked in. She moved with fluid precision, directing the waves through subtle gestures and shifts of her body. The small aliens adjusted instantly, creating a complex weave of resonance that stabilized the room. The largest alien shifted its form to anchor the energy, preventing the station from overloading. Myra could feel the harmony forming, delicate but strong, as if the chamber itself had become an instrument and she its conductor. The human crew outside could barely comprehend what was happening. They had seen aliens before, and they had seen humans survive difficult situations, but this was something entirely different. Myra was not just surviving. She was shaping the environment, influencing beings far more powerful than herself through creativity, instinct, and courage. Every pulse, every movement, every breath was a calculation, a choice, and a statement of human potential. Myra noticed a group of smaller aliens near one corner, their pulses erratic, testing boundaries. She approached them slowly, matching their energy with precise movements. The waves responded immediately, stabilizing as she wove their rhythms into the larger pattern she was conducting. The largest alien observed silently, its body vibrating in acknowledgement. Myra understood then that this was no longer just a challenge. It was an opportunity, a chance for humans to prove that they could collaborate with other species in ways that went beyond words or technology. The chamber trembled again, slightly stronger this time. Myra's heart beat faster, but she remained calm, allowing her instincts to guide her movements. She traced patterns through the air with her hands, creating arcs and spirals that directed the energy flow. The smaller aliens followed her lead perfectly, their pulses syncing with hers. The largest alien adjusted its massive form, counterbalancing the energy and preventing further tremors. Slowly, the room settled into a controlled rhythm, the vibrations forming a complex but harmonious pattern. Myra's mind raced with the possibilities. Humans had always been underestimated in the galaxy. Other species assumed they relied on numbers, technology, or weapons to survive. But here, humans were demonstrating something far greater, the ability to understand, adapt, and shape the environment in ways no one had anticipated. Myra allowed herself a small smile. This was exactly the proof humans needed. They were not fragile. They were not impulsive. They were capable of creativity, intuition, and courage that could match any alien species. A sudden wave of faster, more chaotic vibrations swept through the chamber. Myra recognized it immediately as a test of endurance and flexibility. She extended her arms fully, guiding the energy with precision and control. The small aliens mirrored her movements with perfect timing, while the largest alien shifted its massive body to stabilize the chamber. Myra could feel the resonance flowing through her, through the station, and through the aliens themselves. The room became a living symphony of energy, harmonized by human intuition and alien cooperation. Myra's thoughts turned to the future. If humans could interact with alien energy in this way, the possibilities were endless. They could stabilize unstable environments, communicate with species without shared languages, and solve problems that others might consider unsolvable. This was not about strength or weapons. This was about intelligence, creativity, and courage. Humans had the power to shape their destiny in ways that other species could not predict. She glanced at the humans outside, who watched with wide eyes. They were learning too. Myra's actions demonstrated that humans could rise to challenges through ingenuity, calm thinking, and collaboration. This was the essence of HFY, humanity proving its worth not through dominance, but through intelligence and courage. The largest alien leaned closer, its massive torso vibrating gently. Myra sensed recognition and curiosity. It was testing her once more, pushing her to see if she could maintain control under intense conditions. Myra adjusted her posture, guiding the energy with fluid, deliberate motions. The smaller aliens continued to mirror her, amplifying the patterns she set. The chamber pulsed with controlled energy, a living testament to cooperation between species. Another surge shot through the room, sudden and unpredictable. Myra's instincts kicked in. She moved with precise, flowing gestures, guiding the waves and stabilizing the resonance. The small aliens followed her lead, their pulses intertwining perfectly with hers. The largest alien shifted to maintain balance, anchoring the energy. Slowly, the chaotic surge subsided, leaving a harmonious hum. Myra felt a sense of quiet triumph. She had not only survived the challenge, but she had demonstrated human potential in a way no one had anticipated. Humans were not just survivors. They were innovators, problem solvers, and collaborators. The aliens were recognizing this, their attention focused entirely on her. She had proven that humans could think creatively under pressure, improvise solutions in chaos, and rise above instinct to create order. The room settled into a calm, steady rhythm. Myra lowered her arms, breathing deeply, and looked around. The aliens were observing her, their forms pulsing gently, an acknowledgement of her success. They were no longer merely observers. They were collaborators in a complex dance of energy. Myra realized that this moment could change the perception of humans across the galaxy. They were capable of understanding, adapting, and shaping the environment in ways that no other species could match. Her mind raced with ideas. She could use this energy to communicate complex concepts to the aliens, teach humans how to interact with their technology, and stabilize the station itself. The possibilities were endless. Myra had unlocked a new potential for humanity, one that did not rely on weapons or brute strength, but on intelligence, creativity, and courage. The small aliens pulsed around her, their energy synchronized with hers. The largest alien shifted slightly, its massive form anchoring the resonance. Myra realized that this was more than a test. It was an invitation. The aliens were offering humans a chance to engage in a collaboration that transcended species, a partnership that could shape the future of the galaxy. Myra's chest swelled with pride. Humans had been underestimated for too long. Other species assumed they were limited, fragile, or impulsive. But here, in this chamber filled with alien observers, humans had demonstrated something extraordinary. They could adapt, innovate, and rise to challenges that no one else could. Myra had shown this personally, and now the potential of her entire species was being recognized. A subtle shift occurred in the energy patterns. Myra sensed that the aliens were acknowledging her success. She had not only met their challenge, but had exceeded it. Humans were capable of understanding, adapting, and shaping the environment in ways that no other species had anticipated. Myra felt a quiet sense of accomplishment. She had shown the potential of her species, and the galaxy would never underestimate humans again. The room remained calm, the vibrations gentle and steady. Myra refastened her gravity band, a symbolic gesture of returning to protocol while maintaining the lessons she had learned. Humans respected their tools, but they also knew when to trust themselves and their instincts. The alien's attention was still on her, but it was no longer wary or cautious. There was respect, curiosity, and perhaps even admiration. Myra stepped forward confidently. The resonance of the station vibrated beneath her feet, carrying the energy of curiosity, anticipation, and recognition. She knew that this encounter was only the beginning. Humans had been underestimated for too long, but here, among alien observers, they were demonstrating something extraordinary. They were adaptable, creative, and capable of rising to challenges that no other species could master. And Captain Myra Ellis, human among countless alien observers, was ready to continue proving the potential of her species. She had survived the challenge, and now she was preparing for what came next. A chance to elevate humanity in the eyes of the galaxy, not through force, but through ingenuity, courage, and the ability to think beyond expectation. The energy in the observation chamber had settled into a steady rhythm. Myra could feel it in her bones, in the vibrations under her feet, and in the subtle pulses flowing through the walls of the station. The aliens were no longer testing her. Their attention was quiet but intense, filled with a kind of anticipation that Myra could sense but not yet fully understand. She had proven herself. She had survived, adapted, and led. Now the next stage of this encounter was beginning, one that could change the course of human history forever. She took a deep breath and stepped forward, her eyes scanning the alien council before her. The largest alien, the one who had seemed to anchor the room's energy, lowered its massive torso in what Myra interpreted as a gesture of recognition. Its vibrations were slower now, steady, almost like a heartbeat in conversation. Myra mirrored the rhythm with her own body, letting the resonance flow naturally. The smaller aliens aligned around her, their pulses syncing perfectly with hers. The room vibrated with a calm harmony, a signal that she had their full attention. Myra's mind raced with possibilities. The aliens were offering humans more than recognition. They were offering knowledge. There were hints in their vibrations, sequences that suggested information, patterns of energy that could be translated into understanding. Myra realized that if she could follow these patterns, humans could gain insight into technology, energy manipulation, and systems far beyond anything they had known. The potential was staggering. She began to experiment, sending deliberate sequences of vibrations through her body. The aliens responded instantly, creating a dialogue of energy. Myra felt the rhythms shift and flow, carrying information in a language beyond words. She guided the patterns carefully, learning, interpreting, and adjusting as she went. Slowly, a map of knowledge began to form in her mind. The layout of alien energy conduits, methods of controlling resonance, and hints at technologies that could revolutionize space travel. The humans outside watched in awe. Some whispered, others simply stared. No one had ever seen a human interact with aliens on this level. Myra's movements were deliberate, precise, and instinctive, combining intelligence, creativity, and courage. She was no longer just an explorer. She was a bridge between species, a conduit for knowledge and collaboration. A sudden pulse shot through the chamber, faster and more complex than anything before. Myra felt the energy surge, challenging her focus. She extended her arms, guiding the flow with fluid motions. The smaller aliens followed her lead, their pulses intertwining with hers, while the largest alien adjusted its massive body to stabilize the room. Myra felt a thrill of triumph. She was not only surviving, she was mastering the interaction. She was demonstrating the full potential of humanity. The aliens shifted in response, their forms pulsing with new patterns. Myra interpreted these changes as a proposal. They were offering a choice. Humans could access the alien archives, gaining knowledge and technology far beyond their current understanding, or they could leave immediately, taking only the experience they had gained in this chamber. The decision was hers and humanity's. Myra paused, considering the implications. The archives represented a leap forward for her species. Knowledge of energy manipulation, advanced physics, and interstellar systems could transform human civilization. But there was risk. The information was powerful, and humans had never encountered such complexity before. She weighed the decision carefully, thinking not just for herself, but for her entire species. Finally, she nodded. She accepted the offer. With a subtle gesture, she signaled her intention to engage fully with the alien knowledge. The aliens responded immediately, their forms shifting and pulsing in synchronization. A pathway of energy opened before her, a conduit leading to the heart of the station's archives. Myra stepped forward, confident but cautious, leading the human crew behind her. The chamber seemed to expand, the resonance carrying them smoothly through the corridors. As they moved, Myra could feel the alien technology responding to her presence. The resonance flowed through her, translating patterns of energy into understanding. She saw the structure of the archives, the organization of information, and the connections between systems. The aliens were guiding her, but they were also observing her, evaluating her understanding and adaptability. Myra adjusted her approach, using instinct, logic, and creativity to navigate the complex flow of information. The humans followed her lead, watching carefully and learning. Myra realized that this was not just about gaining knowledge. It was about teaching humans to interact with the galaxy in new ways. They were learning to adapt, improvise, and collaborate with species far more advanced than themselves. This was the essence of human potential. Courage, intelligence, and creativity combined to achieve something extraordinary. At the heart of the archives, the energy pulsed with a steady, powerful rhythm. Myra extended her hands, guiding the flow of information. She felt patterns of energy that corresponded to physics, navigation, and energy manipulation far beyond human understanding. Slowly, she began to translate these patterns into concepts she could comprehend and share with her crew. The humans around her absorbed every movement, every subtle shift in energy, learning to interpret the resonance themselves. The largest alien pulsed gently, a signal of approval. Myra smiled faintly. They had not only allowed humans access to their knowledge, they had recognized their potential to learn, adapt, and contribute. Humans were no longer merely observers in the galaxy. They were participants, capable of understanding and shaping their environment with intelligence and ingenuity. A sudden surge of energy rippled through the chamber, faster and more complex than anything Myra had experienced. She reacted instinctively, guiding the flow with precise gestures. The smaller aliens mirrored her perfectly, creating a complex weave of resonance that stabilized the room. The largest alien adjusted its massive body, anchoring the energy and preventing chaos. Myra felt a thrill of satisfaction. She was not only interpreting the alien knowledge, she was shaping it, making it accessible to humans. As the flow stabilized, Myra realized the significance of what had just happened. Humans had been underestimated for too long. Other species assumed they relied on technology or numbers to survive. But here, humans had demonstrated something far more powerful: the ability to think creatively, adapt instinctively, and master challenges that no other species could predict. Myra felt a quiet sense of pride. Humanity had taken its first step toward recognition in the wider galaxy. The chamber pulsed gently, the resonance carrying a sense of completion. Myra lowered her arms, breathing deeply, and looked around. The aliens observed her silently, their forms calm and steady. They had seen the humans rise to the challenge, learn, and adapt. They had seen the ingenuity, courage, and creativity that made humans unique. Myra understood that this encounter had changed the perception of her species forever. She turned to her crew, who were watching with awe. "We can do this," she said softly, her voice filled with quiet confidence. We have the ability to learn, adapt, and create. This is just the beginning." The humans nodded, inspired by her words and her example. They had witnessed something extraordinary, and now they carried the knowledge and the confidence to shape their future. The largest alien pulsed once more, a gesture of approval. Myra smiled. The aliens had recognized the value of humans, not through force or dominance, but through ingenuity, courage, and the ability to think beyond expectation. Humanity had proven itself capable of interacting with species far more advanced, mastering challenges that would have seemed impossible. Myra refastened her gravity band completely, a symbol of respect for human tools and protocols while acknowledging the lessons she had learned. She felt a sense of completion, a quiet triumph. Humans had been underestimated, but now they had proven their worth. They were adaptable, intelligent, and capable of mastering challenges that no other species could anticipate. The room vibrated softly, carrying the energy of recognition, respect, and possibility. Myra knew that this encounter was only the beginning. The knowledge she had gained, the understanding she had demonstrated, and the trust she had earned would shape the future of humanity. They would return to their own worlds, equipped not only with information but with confidence, courage, and a new perspective on their place in the galaxy. Myra stepped forward, leading her crew out of the chamber. The aliens watched them go, their attention quiet but respectful. Humans had proven their potential, and the galaxy had taken notice. Myra felt a quiet sense of pride, knowing that this was the start of something greater. Humanity was no longer merely a species struggling to survive. They were explorers, innovators, and participants in a galaxy filled with possibilities. As she exited the chamber, Myra looked back one last time. The aliens remained, their forms calm and steady, but she could feel the recognition and trust they had offered. Humans had proven themselves capable of interacting with species far more advanced, mastering challenges that would have seemed impossible. Myra knew that the galaxy would never underestimate humans again. She led her crew through the corridors, each step filled with quiet triumph and anticipation. They had gained knowledge, respect, and confidence. They had demonstrated the value of ingenuity, courage, and creativity. Humanity had taken its first step toward a brighter future, and Myra Ellis had led the way. The station's hum faded into the distance as they moved forward, carrying with them the lessons they had learned, the potential they had unlocked, and the promise of a future where humans would no longer be underestimated. They had shown the galaxy what humans were capable of, not through force, but through intelligence, creativity, and courage. And for the first time, the universe seemed to recognize that humans had a place among the stars, a place where they could shape their destiny and inspire wonder in species far beyond their own. Myra walked steadily, confident, and proud. Humanity had proven itself, and this was only the beginning.